friends, and welcome to episode 122 of Did You Bring the Hummus podcast. I'm Kimberly, your host, and I am super excited to be here with you today. Did You Bring the Hummus is a podcast for all things vegan. Episodes post every Monday on your favorite podcast app. Before we get started, I have one very important question for you. Did you bring the hummus? Visit my website to learn more about how to support the podcast, sign up for a meditation session, and everything else I'm up to. I have joined forces with Jennifer Shlomovich of The Confident Vegan to bring you the next great thing in morning TV, That Vegan Morning Show, which airs on YouTube every Monday at 7 a.m. Eastern. Join our mailing list and get a free recipe ebook of some of our favorites. Today, I am joined by Prit Patel. Prit is a natural storyteller with a deep passion for real human connection. He believes that stories have the power to uplift, inspire, and shape the world we live in. Over the past 18 years, his journey has taken some bold and unexpected turns, from working as a weapons engineer by day and performing stand-up comedy by night, to becoming an agile coach, life coach, and ultimately a destination wedding celebrant and MC. As Prit puts it, he made the leap from the war industry to the love industry. His life has been full of transformative chapters, 2 major career changes, 7 moves across the UK, Germany, and Spain in just 13 years, and embracing a vegan lifestyle 3 years ago. Prit's latest venture? HumanKind Communities, where he helps build thriving, purpose-driven networks of small businesses with big dreams, using the guiding forces of the law of attraction and Ikigai. You are going to love Prit. Hey, Prit, welcome.
Hello.
I'm so glad you're here with me this morning, your afternoon. My first question for you, Prit, is tell me about your vegan journey.
So I have been vegan for 3 and a bit years. And my wife and I, we turned vegan in April, 2022?
Okay.
Yes. That was when we were living in Mallorca. And we had watched a documentary, I think actually a few documentaries at that time, as most people, well, as many people, I think, who end up making the move to veganism do. One of them was Game Changers on Netflix, like super popular documentary, and that was like super eye-opening for both of us. And another one was actually a German documentary, my wife's German, called Budenland, I think, where that was actually really shocking, some of the things we learned there. And one of the things that really stood out to me was learning about how the spirit of cows, probably several animals, not just cows, but the focus was on cows at that part of the documentary. You have to break the spirit of the cow in order for them to be, cooped up all day long, only able to take a step forwards, backwards, side to side, and that's about it. And that really got me because for me, especially over the past few years, I like expressing your whole self, expressing your whole being, no matter who you are, whether you're human, animal, any being in the universe. I believe that's why we all exist. That's why we're all here. We're here to express our souls fully, unapologetically, without holding back. So when I heard about the spirit being broken, kind of broke my spirit inside to hear that. So that was a big part of it. And all the other things about sustainability and how, the degradation of the planet and how, meat and dairy are huge contributing factors. So all of that together, I would say, was kind of like the tipping point on a journey that was going in that direction anyway. So just going back a little bit before that happened, my wife, she had been vegetarian for years. And I was the main cook in the relationship. So when it came to cooking, I kind of got lazy at one point and was like, I don't really want to cook meat for me and, vegetarian for her. And I ended up basically just always cooking vegetarian. And I would eat meat from time to time when we got takeout, takeaway, or went out, which was quite rare. So in a way, I was already transitioning from being a meat eater to a vegetarian already, just naturally without trying really. And what had become really, really important to me, it still is, increasingly important, was listening to my body. Just like really getting in touch with my body and listening and asking it, what do you want? And that goes for all things, not just food, for sleep, what we call calls of nature, going to the bathroom. I call it all calls of nature, all those things. When you need to sleep, it's all nature. It's all your body telling you what's needed in that moment. So because that had become so important, and I'd been practicing that as well, I realized when I was really truthful with myself that my body was not asking for meat. So even though by default, I'd be like, right, what's the meat? When I would plan a meal, what's the meat in the center of the plate? And then what's all the veg or trimmings or whatever that goes with it? So that was just mind stuff. Just default mind stuff, conditioning, physical conditioning, mental conditioning. And also what I didn't talk about was emotional eating as well. So, being stressed, this is going back some years now, but I was a really stressed engineer at one point in my life. And I used to come home after a stressful day and all I would want is a dripping, greasy burger. But again, it wasn't listening to my body, it was listening to my emotional needs. So yeah, I was on this journey and so I reached that point where I could be really truthful with myself that my body didn't actually want meat. And I noticed when I stopped eating meat, my body didn't crave it in the way that I thought it might. And then when I did eat meat from time to time, because it was a journey of eating it, not eating it, and just seeing how my body responded and stuff, it would feel heavy in my body, and it wouldn't feel pleasant really to eat it anymore. So yeah, it kind of just grew from there. So my wife and I made that decision, and then it was like cheating with cheese pizzas. Like we said, we went so-called vegan, and then we got our cheese cravings. But again, it was me sticking to my principle of listening to my body. And if I was honest, my body did really crave. I understand the science around cheese cravings now. But it did feel like, compared to eating meat, it did feel good. Whereas it wasn't a craving with me, it was just my mind. And then I ate it, it didn't feel so good, right? So there was this in-between phase of kind of cheating and eating some cheese. But then over time, my body just naturally started not asking for cheese anymore, not asking. I used to be a huge egg lover, eggs anymore. And yeah, here I am.
Here you are. I appreciate the journey and how different all of our journeys are even though we come to the same place. And so to hear your journey and kind of the back and forth and the way you almost went vegetarian without even realizing it. And it's just, I love to hear that because we're all so different. There's definitely people who can relate to you and would feel like, well, I'm not even going to do it if I know that I'm going to, like, maybe occasionally when I go out, eat something that's not vegetarian or not vegan. So why bother? And then they hear your story and they go, oh, okay, it actually can work like this, and I can still get there. If I want to be vegan, I'll find my way. So I appreciate the honesty in sharing that the journey that you took. I also, my vegetarian journey started because of a cow as well. And I read an issue of PETA's Animal Times that was mailed to me. I don't know why. I didn't fill out anything. I don't remember doing anything. It just showed up in my mailbox. And it was a story of a downed cow. And I went vegetarian that night. And I just, yeah. And then I went vegan like 14 years later. So I had quite a journey too. But yeah, so when you were telling that story about breaking their spirit, it reminded me not just of reading that story about the downed cow and the connection that I've always felt with cows, but it also reminded me of a story that I hear a lot at Toastmasters that I've found a lot of people use during the inspiration piece of our meeting, where they talk about an elephant. And the story is that this baby elephant is part of a circus and her back leg is tied to a post, and she is a baby, so she's not yet strong enough in this story to move the post. So she tries to move forward and her leg gets stuck, and she starts to realize, oh, I can't move. I have to stay here. And she grows, and she's so conditioned and broken to think that she is so incapable of breaking this post that even as a grown elephant, the only time she moves from that space is when she is, whipped by the circus director or whatever. It's because she knows, okay, I can move now. But she never realizes, I'm a big, strong elephant now. If I just really lifted my back foot, I could break the post and move forward and move on with my life. And so people, they tell this story as if we have to remember that we tie ourselves to a post and we get broken, and we realize that we could move forward if we just realized how strong we are. And every time I hear that story, I think, why are you not horrified by the idea of the elephant being tied to a fucking post? And it's just the perspective shift too, when you realize that these beings have a spirit, and that these beings have emotions and sensations and experiences and love. And it just, So when you told that story about the cows and breaking their spirit, it brought me to that space, and how I'm so thankful that I see that elephant not as an allegory for me to be strong and break through, but a reminder of what we do to those, like we as humans, not you and I, right? We as humans, what we do to those we've deemed less important, less equal. And we see it not just with animals, but with people. And anyway, this is becoming much bigger than I thought it was going to. But I think it also ties into something else that you said during our little meet and greet when we were setting this up. And you talked about matter matters. Can you tell me what that means to you?
It's so funny because that phrase literally came to me minutes before our last chat. So I think it's I kind of work that way.
I love it.
Things just surprise me and creep up on me without me even knowing. But it's always usually because it's in there somewhere within me, just waiting to be expressed and articulated in this what turns out to be quite a poetic way of matter matters. But to say where it comes from. Very, very much tied to my vegan journey, because like you were saying, all beings, they have feelings, they have personalities, they have a soul that wants to be expressed, and all these things. And until I went vegan, it's like I had this mental block or something.
Yeah.
That just put up this wall between me and developing those kind of connections and relationships with sheep, with goats, with these things that I did see as food before. But yeah, and the more I have let myself let that wall come down, and build those deeper connections with all animals. Like my heart fills up when I see goats now, when I see sheep, and they just put a huge smile on my face. And I start interacting with them like I do with my own dogs. So that really says something from where I was before and where I am now in terms of my connection and relationship with them. So coming to Matter Matters, that was my journey from, humans matter, because I could relate to that. My family, my friends, myself, we all matter, to the point of all animals matter in a way that they didn't matter before, that I couldn't see. I just couldn't reach that level before. And then, because I see myself as quite a spiritual guy, and I'm on a deepening spiritual journey, and the way I connect to and relate with my surroundings in general has been shifting and evolving through the years. So the next kind of logical stage for me has been going not just from animals, but to objects, what we perceive as inanimate objects. But even then, I think a lot of people can relate to this in the sense that some people, including me and my wife, name their cars.
Me too.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that you give your car a name. You form a relationship. It's a physical object, but the fact that you can form a relationship and a connection with objects, and I believe it's real. Everything has consciousness, which can be shown scientifically now as well. Everything arises from consciousness. So I've started to see how treating not just animals and humans, but so-called objects, our cars. Someone also told me about their printer. She's a stationer in the wedding industry. So I work in the wedding industry as well, obviously. She's a stationer, and I'm not sure if she named her printer, but she definitely has that, kind of sense of there's some kind of relationship there, some kind of personality that the printer has for her. And she knows that when she's in a good mood and she's relating to her printer, being kind to the printer, that it's kind to her. And, and I'm sure many of us can relate to that, with our cars as well. So that's kind of what I mean by matter matters. I mean, we're all matter, whether we're sentient beings or physical objects, it's all matter. And I've come to see it all as a reflection of who I am. The physical world that I live in is my own reflection. So if I treat anything with kindness, it's literally a reflection of me treating myself with kindness. If I treat anything, including objects, imagine being stuck in traffic and bashing your steering wheel, bashing the horn, or whatever, just tossing something aside in a rage. That actually says something to me now about how I treat myself, because everything's my own reflection. So, yeah, that's where it comes from.
I love that. And I think that I've had a kind of an experience without even realizing it. I definitely named my car. Her name is Greta. And but in my physical space, I have historically my whole life been very messy. And I've always called it organized chaos, because if you asked me, I need this thing, do you know where it is? I knew exactly where it was. I just had to dig it out. But I've always kind of not been great at cleaning up and kind of maintaining an orderly space around me. But I've always been very connected to things, and I would feel sad if something broke, or if I lost something, I would feel it in my heart. Oh my God, it's gone and I'll never see it again, or whatever. But also in the way that you were talking about treating the things around you with kindness, when I realized that me being like super messy was a reflection of how I'd been treating myself. I'd been eating really badly, not taking care of myself, not sleeping well, just not paying attention, not listening to what my body was saying to me. The worse my outside world got. And if I started to pay attention to, okay, the work day's over, let me organize my desk so I can walk away and it's neat again. And when I come in the morning, it'll feel like nice. Or treating our kitchen like a sacred space so that we can create and nourish ourselves with love and food 3 times a day. The more I do that, the more I'm kind to myself, which then makes me more kind to the things around me. And it creates this really incredible like connection and just ability to be kinder to myself, which then when I'm out in the world, which is not kind a lot of the time, it's a lot easier to navigate that and feel safe when maybe it isn't always, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally see that. It's so, and it works on so many levels because coming back to veganism and kindness to ourselves versus kindness to other beings. I mean, it's all the same thing, really, now that I've come to see everything's my mirror.
Yeah.
The fact that many of us have become so numb to violence to other beings, particularly animals.
Yeah.
It's a reflection of our own numbness to violence to ourselves as well, that we don't realize. And this, for me, it's so profound when you look at it that way, because it shows up everywhere. Also with veganism, that I think so many people, and I was one of them in the beginning, can see veganism as taking away your freedom away. It's about restriction, it's about limitation and discipline. But actually, for me, it's the opposite.
Same.
It's absolute freedom. Why? Because actually, I was a slave, to use the opposite, I was a slave to my own conditioning without realizing it, to my own mind, to my own mental, emotional conditioning. So once I was able to free myself from that and really listen to my body, the real master, suddenly you're acting, you're behaving from a place of true freedom.
Yeah. I totally agree. And I felt that too. I was vegetarian for so long because I hadn't done enough research to really understand dairy, which is like boggles my mind now because, again, like I said, like a cow was the reason I even started this whole journey. But so I hadn't done enough research, but also I was so stuck in that idea that like I barely eat anything now. Like I'm still learning how to eat vegetables. When I ate animals, getting a vegetable in me was like a real process. And I didn't know how to cook. And like nobody thought this was going to stick because like, what is Kimberly even going to eat? So I started off eating a lot of pasta covered in cheese. So I was like really full and I felt like, all right, this is good. And I did a lot of reading and learning about vegetables and how to make them taste in a way that I would eat them. So eventually I did go vegan and I was like, what the hell? What was I waiting for? I was willing to try so many different cuisines and try so many different things because now it was all vegetables and I didn't feel like I was always very particular about the animals I ate too, because I didn't want to bite into certain types of consistencies and things like that. And so I didn't have to worry about that now with vegetable. The worst we get is when somebody doesn't properly cook an asparagus, right? And it's like chewing on a stick. But if you just cut it properly and cook it right, then it's all good. And it was freeing that way, so freeing from a food perspective, but it was freeing from a spiritual perspective for me too. in that, like, from the time I was very small, I was a staunch atheist. Like, we'd be in church, like a Catholic church when I was like little, and I'd be like, Mom, come on, it's so stupid. And like, I've got better stories at home, and this isn't even real. And I was a real treat when I was young. And, and I grew up like very much like God's not real and it doesn't matter. And this is stupid and religion ruins everything. And while I still am not interested in religion as a whole, even though my degree is actually in philosophy and religion, but the spiritual connection to myself, to animals, to the world, nature, like all of that has like began being vegetarian, and then I was vegan, and then I lost my soul cat, and that just like broke open all the things. And now it's like I feel this freedom around my whole life just by going vegan. Who knew?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy what it can open up.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. It can be, I think, the linchpin for many of us. But yeah, in a way, it kind of showed up for me as a byproduct, in a way, of a journey I was on already, with increasing freedom and listening. I mean, going back over the same things again, but listening to my body and to my own nature. But yeah, I think for me, because it came from that place, I started to realize that, oh, actually, when I really listen to me, to my spirit, to my soul, and let it express itself in the way it wants to express itself, do what it wants to do, come through me, it actually feeds into so many other areas of life as well. So take waste, for example, also a huge problem on the planet.
Yeah.
Overconsumption, not just of food and products, but information. Right? So where does all that come from? If you ask me, the same core, right? It all stems from the same core human condition or dysfunction of losing connection with who we really are. Because overconsumerism is a symptom of that. We overconsume to fill a gap that's not actually there.
But we're convinced it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So that's why I get so passionate and animated about that core, because yes, veganism is a part of it, and waste is a part of it, and there's so many areas of life, some of the biggest problems on our planet, that I think is solvable by us raising in our consciousness and our connection to who we really are.
Yeah. How do you recommend that people do that? Find that connection. Like if somebody asked you, hey, Prit, you've done this. Well, how can I find my way?
Well, done it and still doing it, because it never stops.
Right.
I think that's another thing, actually, because it can seem like, oh, you've got this, or it's not something you tick a box.
Right. No, I'm done here.
But yeah, I'm done. But it never ever stops, and there's layers you go through, and it keeps going. There's more and more challenges. But I think, of course, to use a cliche, everyone's on their own journey. Everyone's on their own path and in their own place. They are where they are, or we are where we are. And you can only act from where you are. So to speak from my own journey, going back some years, I didn't want to know anything about spirituality, for example. Like my mum's been spiritual for years and years. And anytime she would talk about spirituality, I would kind of just close off and just, I don't know, I couldn't even hear the words. And, but that was a reflection of where I was on my journey. But then obviously through time, I started to open up to those things. And part of it was quite a typical, normal journey for, again, a lot of people, becoming stressed by my job, like really, really stressed out as an engineer. Why? Again, coming to the same core, because I realized I wasn't listening to me. It's kind of like hitting the override button constantly. It's like the sirens are there. Or actually, not sirens. It starts with a whisper. That's how I
Mm.
see it. It starts with little whispers from your spirit, from your soul. And when you don't hear the whispers, it turns to shouting. And then
Mhm.
it turns to sirens. And then it turns to physical health conditions, chronic physical health conditions, which is what happened to me.
Hmm.
I was on my couch for a few weeks off work with this chronic physical condition in a lot of pain. And that was a wake up call for me, and to realize that I hadn't been listening to myself, and that I'd been blaming all my stress on everything else, everyone else. And it took a bit. I was reading some spiritual books and stuff at the time, which helped. But it took a bit to then realize that I was essentially the main culprit,
Hmm.
stressing myself out, trying to be a hero, do it all, blah blah blah.
Mm.
Um, but I had to come to that place myself when I was ready to.
Yeah.
So I think, to answer your question, like, what can I tell people?
Hmm.
Really depends where you are on that journey and what you are personally ready for. Because with all the spiritual teachings in the world, all people telling me things, if I'm not ready to listen and I'm not ready to hear it, I'm not ready to make some changes and to see myself in the mirror,
Hmm.
then nothing's really gonna change. So that's the first thing. It's readiness.
Yeah.
And then it's also about being kind to yourself and not expecting to reach, Olympic levels of spiritual growth overnight. But it's a like little baby step by step thing.
Hmm.
And that's really how it has been in my journey as well. Little tiny baby steps of self-kindness.
Mm. Yeah. I think I like that it feels attainable for someone who might feel like, I don't know where to start, or none of this actually makes sense to me. Feeling like these little steps. And, a lot of people will say that if you're reading spiritual stuff, or even just looking kind of at religions from way, way back, not even like the main book religions, but the Eastern religions and stuff, where they've been around forever, and there are a lot of similarities. And I think it's because there are these universal truths, but like you were saying, we're not always ready to hear them. So you might hear the same kind of idea. Let's just take kindness from, 7 different books that you read, but it doesn't hit you because you're not ready, or it's not in the words that your soul understands.
Yes.
And then you read that 8th book, or you listen to a podcast, or you watch a talk or a documentary, and somebody says like one thing, and it's kind of the same thing you've heard, but it wasn't from this person at this moment when you were ready to hear it. And then you're like, oh my God, this makes all the sense to me. And it completely shifts you. And it's not just that was that one person. It was this culmination of you hearing this thing and being ready, and then hearing it in the words where your soul is like, I get that. Yeah.
Yes. I love that so much, because it's so I'm a big believer in divine timing. Like, everything has its perfect timing. Um, and often is the case that if it's not happening now, it's not shifting now, not working now, whatever, it doesn't mean it's not right. It might just mean it's not the right time.
Hmm.
And from that example you were talking about different people phrasing things in different ways, and some land, some don't, with your soul.
Hmm.
I also heard examples of people through Eckhart Tolle, that
Hmm.
through wrote The Power of Now. He was saying that some people had bought his book, and it just lay on their shelf for
Hmm.
years and years. They picked it up. It was kind of senseless, so didn't really connect to them. And years later, that very same book then started hitting something deep in their soul.
Right. Yeah. It's about the timing, and it's about being ready. And yeah, so like you said, we're all on this journey. And when I think about from the vegan perspective, I want everyone to be on this journey already. because it's not about me. It's about the animals that continue to suffer because so many people aren't on this journey. And then I talk to people, we have conversations like you and I are having, or another podcast episode that I recently recorded where they were kind of like, I can't kind of think about that. It's, I'm doing what I can do. And, for me, that's enough. And for me, I'm like, what do you mean that's enough? It's not enough. Like, this, the level of suffering that's happening out in the world. And yeah, I find that it hurts when I think about, everything, all of the suffering, the animals, the other humans in the world. But I do also have to come back to this place of like, okay, well, what am I doing? How am I showing up? How am I spreading this joy of veganism where other people might kind of be like, I'm interested in this. Yeah. But talking about spreading joy made me think about something you touched on that you do, and that you are a wedding celebrant. Yes. So do you want to talk about that a little bit and how you're spreading joy in the world in that way?
Yeah, sure. It's actually now a part of what I do, but we can come back to that if you want, because things have changed since we last spoke.
Oh, all right. Yeah, tell me all the things.
have skyrocketed quite literally. Anyway, yes, I marry people. If people who are listening don't know what a wedding celebrant is, I think in the States it's officiant, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. It is.
And to be fair, I didn't know what it was until a few years back when I came across it myself. But I marry people. I'm a destination wedding celebrant, so people who come from so even more exotic than just marrying people, on my homeland. So I get to fly to France, to Italy, to Spain, to Mallorca to marry Americans, Australians, Europeans who, all come from different parts of the world to get married. And celebrants, we do symbolic ceremonies. So they're non-religious, at least typically. Like we don't lead them in a religious way. Every celebrant is different. So I'm very open to all beliefs and backgrounds. So if someone wants to include a little reading from the Bible, or even if they don't class themselves as religious or want to say the Lord's Prayer or something like that, fine. Because for me, the core of it is people really being true to themselves, what they believe in, what's meaningful to them, what feels personal to them. So that's at the core of it all for me, to really honor them and reflect them as a couple, and their relationship. And in terms of, you started with joy. Other than it being a joy for me to go through the motions and do what I do as a wedding celebrant, because I love telling stories, and I feel like it comes naturally to me, and I just find myself doing it. But when it's in the context of a wedding, one of the most joyous days usually in people's lives, you can feel the love, you can feel the connection between friends and family, all the better. And for me, storytelling, it's one of those, you talked about religions being ancient, going back years and years. So does storytelling as our way of communicating with each other as humans. So therefore, I know that it's one of the deepest ways we connect and relate with each other is through stories. So that's why it brings me so much personal joy. But yeah, to see how my joy then marries up, with the joy of the couple and their friends and family. It's incredible.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. The storytelling piece, you're right. This was something that when we talked initially, we both chatted about how much we love story. And that's one of the things that I do here on the podcast, and that's why I ask everyone to share your vegan journey, because that is how we connect with each other. When we hear someone's experience and we know that we felt something similar or we've experienced something similar, we connect with that person without ever having met them. And that builds this connection of all of us around the world. Stories are just so powerful and just change people's lives on a daily basis. So tell me then, how is storytelling where your change is coming from? Is that what is happening here with you?
Oh, well, it is definitely a story in itself. I wouldn't say storytelling is related to that thing, but basically what has happened since we last spoke, I now have a full-time job. So I was trying to make the wedding celebrant thing work as a full-time career thing. Like with any business, it can be slow and it takes time, and I know even though I love it and stuff, didn't go that way. But I'm a firm believer that everything's always working out for me for the best, and it really is, which kind of plays into what's happened. So I got invited to an interview from a company that I'd applied for months ago. I'd completely forgotten. And I had said to myself, okay, rewinding back a bit, because the jobs were not going anywhere. I kind of decided, okay, universe. I take that as a hint that this is maybe not my path, at least not right now, because nothing seems to be materializing and shifting. So I'm going to fully focus in on being a wedding celebrant, and forming community, building community, which is the other thing that I've been heavily involved with through this. They're called ConnectWed. It's a social media platform for the wedding industry, like exclusively in the wedding industry, and I've been involved in building community. Stuff we're talking about with storytelling, inviting people to tell their stories about how they got into the industry and the tough times as well as the successes and all that stuff that builds that connection and that sense of community. So I was really loving all of that and built a lot of momentum with it. Still wasn't earning me the money that I was wanting to, but it meant that I'd refocused, I'd shifted, and I'd completely let go and forgotten about the whole job thing. And it was from that state of mind and being that the job came back on my plate, back into my awareness. And then, long story short, did the interviews, ended up getting the job. But here's the cool thing. I told myself that I don't really want to go back to corporate, because my background is in corporate, right? I was an engineer working for big corporations before I did the whole change into coaching and then engineering. So I'm not going to go back to corporate unless something really cool comes along that is, I can't say no to, like working in space, working on space projects.
Nice.
And well, that's what happened.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm now going to be working for some engineering consultancy / service provider company in Germany, and they work with several different customers, and one of their customers is a space company who are doing a project right now. It's literally to replace the International Space Station. It's like mind blowing. I completely switched gears, completely forgotten about that whole thing. Trying to get a job for months and not it going nowhere, to suddenly, since our last conversation, feels like everything's just shifted and taken a completely different turn. So like, I still love being a celebrant, and I'm good. That's going to carry on the side. I've got weddings coming up, booked already for next year.
Nice.
So I'll be doing that on the side. But now my main thing is going to be, working as a engineer again, and in the south of Germany, like this really cool area in Germany just turns out to have one of the best climates, and it's near Switzerland and not far from Italy. And it's just, yeah,
Yeah.
incredible what's
That's so
happened.
wonderful. Oh, I'm so happy for you. Prit, what a journey. My goodness, huh? Even just in this podcast, what a journey.
Even I didn't know we would be talking about that. So, yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. Oh my goodness. Well, I think we'll just move to my last question for you.
Mhm.
How does hummus show up in your life?
Hummus. I was giving this a bit of thought, and what came to my mind immediately was I'll say my wife's, because I've tried making it once and mine didn't turn out nearly as good as hers. So my wife's homemade hummus, which interestingly, you probably can't even technically call hummus because it's made from red lentils, not cheese. But we call it hummus, and it's really delicious.
Nice.
So that started out back when we were in Mallorca, and we had a bit of a ritual that went with it. Every time, or most times, we made this homemade hummus. We would take it, put it in a Tupperware tub, take it with us, go sit by the beach with a fresh baguette or something. Yeah. Just tuck in, have the hummus was still warm because it was freshly made.
Yeah.
We would just tuck into this fresh hummus and baguette by the beach. Yeah.
Wow. That sounds amazing, and I want to be there.
Yeah. It's shown up in a good way, is the short answer. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds wonderful. Prit, thank you so much for this conversation today. I've really enjoyed being here with you and just hearing your stories. And like I said, this kind of journey that we took, all the different directions we went in the episode. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you inviting me on here. And yeah, likewise, it's been a real pleasure to really connect with you today.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome back. We didn't get a chance to discuss Prit's law of attraction and Ikigai work with HumanKind Communities, but don't worry, you can find out more by visiting his website or following him on social media. So check out his website, pritumpatel.com. Follow him on Instagram at celebrant Prit or at HumanKind Communities, really, and at HumanKind Communities. Why not do both? You can also find him on YouTube, both at Pritum Patel and HumanKind Communities. You'll find all of these links and links to those 2 documentaries that Prit mentioned early on in the episode in the show notes. I hope you found this episode helpful and inspiring. Please subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you're loving it, please give Did You Bring the Hummus a 5-star rating and leave a review. It's an easy way to keep supporting the show. Be sure to share these episodes with your friends. If you're finding something good here, they will too. If you're a vegan or know a vegan who would be a great fit for the podcast, follow the Be a Guest link in the show notes. Fill out the quiz and I'll be in touch. Get on my mailing list and stay up to date on all things Did You Bring the Hummus? Get more info on how you can sign up for a meditation, one of my programs, or to support the podcast via the links in the show notes. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Did You Bring the Hummus? And visit my website, didyouBringTheHummus.com, for more information about me, updates on what I'm working on, new podcast episodes, and all things vegan. Finally, I would love to hear from you. What do you need help with? Is there a topic you want to hear covered on a future episode? DM me on Instagram or send me an email at info@didyouBringTheHummus.com. Thanks for listening.